We've already been to the moon, and now we're preparing to go back. Not in theory, not in imagination, in reality. But what's interesting isn't just the achievement itself, it's how differently people react to it. Because when something this big happens, people don't just observe it, they interpret it. And those interpretations don't always look the same. Now let's go back for a second. It's late 1960s, the world is watching something that had never been done before. Humans leaving Earth, crossing into space, landing on the moon. The Apollo 11 mission wasn't just a technological milestone, it was a psychological one. Because for the first time, humanity saw itself from the outside, small, distant, fragile, and at the same time, capable of something almost impossible. But it didn't start there. It never does. Before success, there's uncertainty. Before progress, there's risk. And sometimes there's failure. In 1986, the Challenger disaster shocked the world. A mission that was meant to represent progress turned into tragedy. And years later, the Columbia disaster reminded us again that exploration isn't clean, it isn't predictable, it comes with consequences, real ones, and yet it continues. That's the part people often overlook. Human progress doesn't move forward because it's easy, it moves forward because people choose to continue anyway, despite uncertainty, despite risk, despite not knowing exactly what comes next. And now, here we are again. A new chapter, a new mission. The Artemis 2 program is preparing to send humans back to the moon, not as a repeat of the past, but as a continuation of it. A step towards something even bigger. But here's where things shift. Because while some people look at this and feel curiosity, or excitement, or even awe, others feel something different. Not necessarily disbelief, but distance. Because space doesn't feel like something you can verify yourself. You can't step outside and confirm it. You rely on information, on data, on institutions. And for some people, that creates a gap. And when there's a gap, your brain tries to fill it, not with confusion, with something that makes sense, something that feels stable, something that feels explainable. Because uncertainty is uncomfortable. It always has been. Your brain doesn't like sitting in I don't know, it looks for resolution, even if that resolution is incomplete. So when something as complex as space travel is presented, your reaction isn't just based on information itself, it's based on how that information feels. Does it feel understandable? Does it feel trustworthy? Does it feel real? And if the answer to those questions is unclear, people don't just stay neutral. They move, they interpret, they form positions. Not because they're trying to reject reality, but because they're trying to make sense of it. And that's an important distinction because it shifts the focus away from right versus wrong and towards something more fundamental. How humans process things are bigger than their everyday experience. Think about it. Most of what we understand about the world comes from direct experience. What we see, what we touch, what we can verify ourselves. But space, it doesn't work like that. It exists outside of normal perception. It requires abstraction, trust, interpretation, and not everyone processes that the same way. Some people lean into the complexity. They explore it, they learn it, they accept that not everything needs to feel immediately intuitive. Others look for something more grounded, something that fits within their current understanding, something that feels more concrete. And neither of those responses come from nowhere. They come from the same place, a brain that's trying to reduce uncertainty. Now, zoom out, because this isn't just about space. This pattern shows up everywhere. Anytime something is complex, distant, difficult to personally verify, people don't just absorb it, they interpret it. Once that interpretation forms, everything else starts to align around it. Information that fits gets noticed. Information that complicates things gets pushed aside. Not intentionally, automatically. Because your brain prefers consistency. It prefers a stable narrative over a constantly shifting one. And changing your perspective, that takes effort. It introduces friction. It creates discomfort. So instead of constantly reevaluating, most people stabilize. They stick with what feels coherent, what feels complete, and that's not a flaw. It's a function. Now bring it back. Humanity is once again preparing to move beyond Earth, to orbit the moon, to build toward something even larger. And at the same time, we're still processing what that even means, because achievement doesn't just change what we can do, it changes how we think, how we interpret, how we understand our place in all of it. So when you look at something like Artemis 2, it's not just a mission, it's a reflection of progress, of risk, of curiosity, and also of how differently people respond to something big. Because in the end, this isn't just about whether we've been to the moon or whether we're going back. It's about something much more human. What we do when we're faced with something we can't fully grasp. Do we explore it? Do we question it? Do we simplify it? Or do we decide what it means before we fully understand it? Because the moment something feels just out of reach, your brain doesn't just process it. It chooses how to make sense of it. And that choice, that's where the real story begins.